Let's spill that tea. Humble tea it is. Happy New Year and welcome back to Humble Tea. Yeah, that. Okay. I don't know. I was thinking of something clever, but yeah. So we took a little break. I was going to do one last week, but we're doing Almas and a video for 25 days, and then I did 3 podcasts, so 28 videos. Yeah, it was kind of a lot. So yeah. But yeah, 2020's over. It's 2021. We just don't want to make a big deal. Come in slowly, But yeah, I want to talk about Nashville, because I did finish that a few weeks back. I was talking about that. Yeah, I binged it, I think, less than a month. I binged 6 seasons. And each episode, I believe, is 40 minutes. So, yeah. Yeah, to say I was obsessed. I got very hooked. My best friend, Sarah, is the one she was like, you should watch it, because I finished Once Upon a Time, and she's like, oh yeah, this is good, you'll probably like it, and yeah, kind of got hooked. But yeah, I'm really having a good time with this podcast, and I hope y'all are, and looking forward to it in the new year. I know it's only been 3 episodes, but I'm hoping it can go somewhere. I'm having a good time. Updates. I was going to talk about holidays and stuff, but that kind of happened, so, I hope you all had a wonderful Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and spend time with the loved ones, or the best you can with a pandemic going on, so, it's not how it usually is, so, yeah, but, hope you still had a good holiday, and get back on with life. Well, hopefully, again with a pandemic, but hopefully it'll be all fixed up soon. But yeah, so that's the tea on that. I do think I'm gonna probably be talking about spilling some more Sims tea soon. I don't know, I've been seeing some stuff, and I was like, maybe I should be talking about this too. So, my opinion, but that, maybe Once Upon a Time, I don't know, might go back to other topics. But yeah, like I said, I was going to talk about holidays, but now I can't remember. Anyways, Nashville. So, if you don't know, Nashville was, I believe it was on ABC, and then it moved to CMT. I believe that, after, the last season, or second to last season, it moved to CMT. But yeah, so Nashville it's about a few different people who their lives intertwine, but a few families and people, their lives intertwine, but they're all in the music biz, and they live in Nashville. The country singers, how it starts out is Hayden Panettiere, she's in it. Oh god, her character, I just lost it. Okay, I'm a nerd. But anyways, she's the young country star, and the young kid, she sings for the young audience and stuff, and all the new people and all this stuff, and then you have the veteran, the Raina, and she's been in country music since she was a teenager and all this stuff, and she tried to, keep herself up there and, up to date, and they're trying to get her to go on was it Jules? No. Juliet. Oh my god, how did I forget? Oh my god. Anyways, trying to get her and Juliet to go on the tour. I won't give spoilers. I'll try not to give spoilers too much. But, because it's, if you haven't seen it, it's a good show. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of heartfelt moments. And honestly, it really gave everything I wanted in a show. There's laughs. There's times you cry. They really don't, okay. I was really excited, say, when, shows, say, Fuller House came, from Full House. They were doing, like, spin-offs. And then, like, Disney goes and does Girl Meets World. When Boy Meets World, which I really think they should put that on, like, ABC Family / Freeform or something. Because it could have been a little bit more adult. And, or, like, Raven's Home. That might need to be a whole episode because, it... The timeline makes no sense. I don't know. It's just like Disney wanted to jump on the bandwagon of remakes and spin-offs and stuff. So they're like, okay, Raven's Home. But they didn't really think it through. And especially compared to that. But Girl Meets World was good. And they did do some serious topics. And I'm proud of Disney for a lot of stuff. But also... some topics they sort of kind of glazed over, and it was like they kind of went over, and it was like, oh, okay, this is very strong. This is, kids, these ages are going through this, and they should talk about it. But then it was like, okay, they talked about it, and it was just glazed over, if you know what I mean. And also, I kind of was getting into Andy Mack, which that ended, and I felt like that could have really been a show of bringing Disney back to their roots. Disney Channel. The Disney Channel I remember growing up. You know what? This probably needs to be a whole podcast. But, the old Disney Channel. But, like, Lizzie McGuire and even Stevens. And so we have Zack and Cody. And all that stuff like that. Those roots. And, they talk even Stevens and Boy Meets World. It was on Disney for a little bit. They talked about serious stuff. And really... Anyways, that was my whole point. That... it was still, I guess maybe sugar-coated, they just kind of talked about it, but didn't really go in depth, and all this stuff, and that's what, in Nashville, it's like, yes, it's intense, yes, it's intense, yes, sometimes you have to be in the right mindset to watch it, and it can be funny, and it can be, heartfelt, but, like, there's at least some kind of character, little pieces, like, okay, this part of this character you feel connected to, this parts that you're like, oh, I can relate to that, or kind of relate to that, or something like that, you can kind of, maybe there's a whole bunch of characters at some point in the show you can relate to, ignore my kitty cat scratching in the background, but yeah, so, and that's what I love, is like, that it's raw and it's real. It talks on real topics from postpartum. Like, I feel like there's not enough shows, like, that talk with the real issue of postpartum depression, that women have after having babies. And it's a real thing, and, like, they can overcome it, but it's like, they don't really talk about it. And, it's, they don't, people, like, they're in shows and stuff, they don't really, it is a hard topic, and so, and at the time, there was a time that, Hayden Panettiere was dealing with it herself, and, so, and it happens, and, I don't know, that, there's just things, like, life is just, it's crazy, and, like, yes, sometimes, in entertainment stuff, you want to escape reality, you want to escape the bad, and stuff like that, of course, and that's why there's, like, Once Upon a Time, and you're seeing your fairy tales, and stuff like that, but sometimes, like, you want that raw, that just, that stuff that just, there's just, sometimes you watch stuff like that, like, it's kind of like Speak, when I have to say, back in Kristen Stewart, like, her roles were meant to be, Twilight's just awkward, but, But yeah, that movie is very, you watch when you just, like, it's a different kind of mood set, it's not like, oh, I'm watching, I'm watching Friends, and then, oh, I just got in the mood to watch Speak, like, different kind of mindset, but, anyways, Nashville, so, the characters, love them, like, there's not many, like, the main characters, like, you, in some point or another, you may hate them, and be very mad at them, okay, no, I'm not, hate's a very strong word. At one point or other, they're even your most loved character, even your, like, the character you love the most, at one point, you're probably gonna be mad at them. But, like, then it's like, you understand, but, like, you're just like, oh, God, if they just knew, but it, and it just, I don't know, that part of, like, it just draws you in. And then there's, of course, the ones that just, you want to feel bad with them, but they're the antagonist, They're the, and my cats are fighting over a baby bed. Anyways, they're the antagonist. They're really bad ones. Sometimes you want to feel sorry for them, and you're like, oh my God, wait, because it shows, that's how it gets you. Like, you even want to feel bad for the bad ones. Like, they're doing all this, but they don't, they're very good at it. That's why they're the antagonists. They're good at getting to you and making you feel bad, and all that, and so, but then they do something else, like the next scene, and you're like, never mind, I don't feel bad, but, you have heart, and you feel bad, but yeah, I think, it went on for 6 seasons, so it went on for 6 years, and, I feel like, of course, there are ways it could have kept going, they could have kept going, maybe, like a Grey's Anatomy, they could have been on 20 seasons, or whatever, like, they could have gone a long time, but it was a good time to end, and I felt like, finales I've seen, I love the Friends finale, okay, I get emotional, I've seen it bajillion times, but Nashville final, that's how final should be. All kind of came together, and there was a conclusion. Everyone had, everyone just had their conclusion, and how everything was going. Like, you knew, okay, what they were doing. That, like, this isn't the end. It's the end of the show, but, like, Juliet's going off and doing her thing, and this, and Raina's girls, and they're following in her footsteps and stuff like that, and whereas, like, say, the Fuller House, I'm sorry, this will probably have to be a whole other podcast too, but the Fuller House finale, I'm sorry, kind of lacked, and I don't know, it left me wanting more, because, I don't know, it felt like rushed, like, they were like, oh, we got canceled by Netflix, and it was almost like they didn't want to do it, and so, I don't know, it's kind of seemed like fast. One, that the wedding is in the same episode as when they say goodbye. I don't know, it was like, they did all this leading up to a wedding, it's a 3 wedding, and then it was like, done, like, I don't know, it was weird, and then, like, they're all gonna live there, I don't know, like, it could have been like Kimmy and Ramona and Fernando were gonna live next door, and maybe I could see, like, Stephanie, she's a new mom, she's now pregnant, she never thought she would get pregnant. That's another thing. At the end, when they said at the first season, Stephanie was, like, barren, and, or she would have trouble having kids or whatever, and she was, like, very upset. It was, like, a real thing. Like, and this is what I guess I would say about glossing over things. Because it was, like, that's a real moment. And, like, she realized she wanted kids. And there's even an article that says, it could have been okay if Stephanie decided she never wanted kids. Because, like, her lifestyle and stuff. But I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. Because I feel like, she loves being an aunt. And I don't know. I feel like she wanted that. And especially being there and helping her sister, maybe at first she never did, and that's why, she's like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna have kids, okay, it's not a worry, I'm DJ and I'm doing all this, I'm on the road, so no time for mom life. But then she started settling down, and it was like, but the fact that it was like the last 5 minutes, and she's like, oh, I'm pregnant, and it was like, what? And it's like, this whole time since season 1, for 5 seasons, it was always that Stephanie couldn't get pregnant. And I know what happens. Like, a lot of times, like, there's women who, like, they get a surrogate or they adopt a child. And then it's like, why this surrogate gets pregnant, why they are in the middle of adopting, then they get pregnant. It happens, but like, I don't know, it was just like, oh, you're pregnant, yeah, if DJ would have said she was pregnant, because, she already has 3 kids, oh, okay, no big deal, but it's like, there was this whole big thing about Kimmy being the surrogate and stuff, and I don't know, I feel like it was just very, last minute, okay, say she's pregnant, and blah, 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 and so, like, I could kind of see, okay, maybe they're gonna stay in basement or in the attic or something and kind of help out until they like maybe find a house close by and how they can kind of take care of the stores and stuff. But like all of them, I don't know, it just didn't make sense. And I would love to see like Steve Moore like talking with the boys and stuff like that, like a little bit, but not really. So I would have liked to seen that. But yeah, that's what I would say about it. It was like, okay, boom, 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 done. And that's what I have to say about the Nashville finale was they really closed tides and really had them all come together. And it really felt like a finale. And yeah. But yeah, from the very first episode, which I have this theory when I watch a show. I at least watch, or at least try to watch, through to the 2nd episode. Once Upon a Time, the 7th season, and Wonderland. Yeah, that's why I'm still saying I'm not going to give up on it, because I have this theory of, especially Wonderland, because I have this theory of at least get through the pilot and see how you feel, because the pilot is the hardest episode because you're establishing characters and you want to get, you're trying to get attached and stuff like that. So yeah. And so with Nashville, you're just hooked. You're hooked right away. You get to, you're getting to know them. So of course it's taking time. You're like, okay, this one's related. This is where they're related, and this is going on here, and you're figuring out. But there's so much going on that it just, and you're just like your head is bopping. You're getting to know all these characters, but you're hooked, and you want to know more, and you just, and that. I watched it in less than a month, so. Yeah. There's just a lot to it, of, I guess you could say the one that got away, and, alcoholism and how that, affects things, and then meant to be in true love, if you have to say, and, just very much like how kind of corrupt and messed up the music industry, well, probably like, music industry, acting, just fame and music, like I said, I've always, since like, I was like in 5th grade, I've always dreamed of being a film director. I love to edit, I love film, I love the thought of like, being famous, being, like, in that public eye, like, scares me. I've gotten used to, recording YouTube and, like, streaming, but it's like, I have my little community, and, like, being out there with, like, thousands and thousands of people, like, that's insane, and I can't even imagine it. But yeah, I don't know, feeling like, an ant where, everybody's watching you and stuff, it's crazy, and, the show just really kind of gives you, like, I guess, a behind the scenes, a little looky, into that business, and just how kind of messed up it really is, how, it can be cool and stuff, but also it can be very, it's just very twisted, and just the things, then it's not always, I guess, true talent that sells, and just, so it definitely have to have the looks and this and that, And I don't know, like I said, it goes in on that and the business and just and other issues and personal issues and how it can collide, your personal issues. And again, kind of being like a fish in a fish tank. Yeah, I don't know, I said ant, but fish in a fish tank, and, you're famous and stuff, so you let things slip out or somehow someone, finds out and then they tell and then it changes your life and it's a mess, and you have, like Raina, she tried to shield her kids from like being on social media and being in that, aspect, maybe in Nashville it's a little easier, but shield her kids from like the paparazzi and just from them knowing everything about them and where they can't even walk out their door. And yeah, just it's just crazy. And but it just hooks you. I keep feeling I'm like it's like I feel like I was like, oh, no spoilers. I'm like going into detail Full House and going in here, but like this might need to be a 2-parter because I only know like how to start. Like I said, it's 6 seasons, and they're like 40 minutes each. It's a drama, and but yeah, there's, like I said, Hayden Panettiere plays Juliet. And so they had found her at a fair, her hometown, when she was like 16 or something, and like so she was like she was like 20 something when the show started. I think 20, I don't know, but drawing a blank. But anyways, she was young and she had like the young, she had her family like the young teens and stuff like that, and she was the crazier one, and there's a lot of times you feel bad for her. She had a very hard past life, like it was just her and her mom. Her mom was crazy, druggy, and stuff like that, so she didn't have really a normal childhood and stuff like that, and like you feel bad for her, but then other times you're like, oh my god, Juliet, but then it makes sense. But you're just like, oh. And I have to say, Hayden Panettiere really does good as Julia. I don't know, she really pulls off that character, and I don't know, I think she did very well. I feel like they perfectly casted her, and then there's Raina, who, she was also discovered she was kicked out of her father's house when she was young, and then she started singing. It was kind of like those her boyfriend Deacon, but she was the one that discovered, and he would be her guitarist, and so she's older, and so she is trying to sell out an album. They're like, oh, you should go and tour with Juliet, and she doesn't want to because they're definitely two different. Like Juliet's more, I guess, like poppy, the new stuff and all that. She's older and like the older style country music and stuff like that, and she's like, no, and they like don't get along, and there's like so many times that they're just like back and forth, they don't get along, they see things totally different, but when it comes down to it, they start really getting along and being friends, and it's just like, oh yes, because it's like a sister bond, mother-daughter bond. I don't know, like, it's just, she was there, she's there for Juliet, and ends up being there for Orange and her daughter, and because her daughters looked up to her, Raina's daughters looked up to Juliet, and her oldest daughter ends up being friends with her, and that's a whole thing. Yeah, then there's Raina's dad, who's like a big business dude in Nashville, who claims that he is the one who like really got Raina's business going, even though he kicked her out, but, because he bought all the records, and, it's all about money, and he ends up getting her then husband, Raina's then husband, ends up being ex, but, it's him into politics, gets him to run for governor, and they're both, like I said, times they make you feel bad for him, but then they do something in, like, the next scene, or next couple scenes, and you're like, oh, never mind, I'm sorry I felt bad for you, Not gonna say I hate anyone. I try not to throw the word hate around, because as a God's child, I don't hate anyone, not supposed to hate anyone. I'm all the time, because I do hate child molesters, and animal abusers, and children abusers, and the devil, but that's that fine line, but, so, especially characters in TV, so I don't like to just throw out the word hate, but they very much annoy me, and so, there's that, and it's like, they make you, because they're so manipulative, they're so charismatic or whatever, there's times it's like, oh, oh my god, wait, I feel bad, but then they do something else, and you're like, you bastard, So, yeah. But yeah, they, so, that's how that started, and then, they're, like, on tour, but then they'd come back and spend some time in Nashville, in between, some tour that, like, they'd have breaks and stuff, and then, Raina was going to end up taking some time, because I was divorced, and Juliet just wants to get back out there. Juliet's just all about, making money and music and getting out there and stuff, especially at the beginning, it takes her, she had some learning to do. Again, it's how she grows up, and you're like, oh, Juliet, come on, can't you just see, hey, she needs to be with her family, but she does, it's just, Juliet's, she's been through some stuff, but yeah, it very much comes together, and in the end, and Juliet's there for her daughter, and, baby-to-be, and husband, and stuff like that, and, the characters you're kind of mad at the beginning, you really see them, and you see them grow, and you're like, then you end up feeling bad for them, and I don't know, you just want to hug them, and stuff like that, so there's some that's like, okay, you annoy me, but then you get to know them more later in a side, like, couple-wise, and you're like, oh, no, I really do love you, but then, of course, there's just the plain antagonist that you're just like, oh my god, can you just go away, and go away for good, and ones, I guess, supposed to be antagonist, did I say protagonist? I meant antagonist, that you want to go away. I know, okay, look, it's midnight. Anyways, then, yeah. But yeah, like I said, this might need to be two-parter, and you may need to think about some things, but, I don't want to not, spoil too much, but I would definitely give that a watch. Yeah, now I know also I need to talk about Fuller House and Disney, old and new. I think that will be a good podcast. Let me know what you'd like to see. I think I'm going to end it here at about 30 minutes, of me rambling and making no sense. So I guess I sort of talked about Nashville and other things, and it had a perfect finale. In conclusion, it started out, it hooked you in from the pilot, some shows, like I said, some shows are just hard from the pilot to, hook you in, because I've read this, and I've took it to heart every time. It's just sometimes in pilots, because you're establishing characters, you're getting to know people, so you need to watch an episode or two, to really dive in, and if you're not hooked within, second, third episode, okay, back away. Then you're not in, but Nashville really drags you in, and it it pulls you, and it pulls at your heartstrings, and you just, there's a lot of characters and you're getting to know everyone, but it makes you want to get to know. It makes you, okay, wait, what about them? Oh, wait a second, I seen them. Wait, well, what's going on here? How do they tie into the story? Everyone, kind of knows each other or will know each other in some way or another. And it's really cool. And how I said, sometimes the true talent gets you there, and sometimes it's not all about the talent, but some people, them being on stage and that fame and fortune, not necessarily what they want, they like the behind the scenes, they're doing something else, and it gets to that, and it's a really good show. But yeah, it draws you in. But yeah, so this will be the end of this episode of Humble Tea, that's the tea. But yeah, let me know what y'all like to see next, and until next time, that's all the tea I have to spill. Bye, guys.